Welcome to HTM on the Line. I'm your host, Bryant Hawkins Sr. We have a special guest this week, Maury Agoncillo. He is currently the president of Ventura Medtech Solutions, VMS. Maury is a laser expert, educator, public speaker, technical trainer. He's also an active member in the California Medical Instrumentation Association, CMIA. His best achievement to date is the love of his family. He is married, and together, him and his wife is raising two lovely kids. I'm excited to sit down with Maury this week and share his story and thoughts on the current state of the HTM industry. Without further ado, let's get into this week's episode with Maury Agoncillo. Maury, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad to finally get you on here. It's been a long time in the making. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Mr. Ryan. I'm very pleased to be in your show.
Let's just jump right into it. First thing I want to ask, I always ask every B-man I talk to, how did you find out about this industry? What's your story? How you got into this industry?
It was my dad. He was a director for CHW, and he got me a job with Master Plan, which is now Renovo Solutions.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, yes. So your dad was in the biomed.
Actually, no, he was in facilities.
Oh, okay. Yes. So biomed before biomed.
Correct. So I was hired through Master Plan at the California Hospital Medical Center in downtown LA. It was still a CHW account.
What is your niche in the industry? What is that you do?
I'm very strong with lasers. From my certification point on, it's 15 plus years. But yeah, I'm very strong in the field of light amplification, stimulation, emission, and radiation, and also strong in fake emulsification devices. Those are my key specialties. But besides that, I'm also well versed with anesthesia technology, ultrasound, DICOM, PACS, and some other things. But for me not to segue from the segment, yeah, those are my main two strong modalities, which is lasers and fake emulsification devices.
What is an average day for Maury?
So, now that I'm 47, my average day consists of dropping off the kids first, right? I work out 3 days a week. I have to stay in shape because, I need to have a strong mind and a strong body to be able to produce at an optimal level on a daily basis. After the kids stuff, right? Then I head out to my office in Chatsworth, try to read emails, read some, check my voicemails, and then read some. I love reading the news, current events. So I browse, I check LA Times, USA Today, Reuters, just so I'm pretty much updated with what's going on in the world. And then I go about looking at my, task manager, using Asana, or I have the Monday platform. And, just during that time also, I have meetings with my my technicians to see where we're at and see how we can improve, on a daily basis.
Now, you mentioned kids.
I have a 9-year-old boy. She actually just turned 9 on the 25th of this, of actually April. And I have a daughter who's turning 12 this month. So it's like, 18 days and counting. So I have 2 lovely kids.
Any future biomeds in there?
Hey, actually, my daughter's pretty interested with some hands-on stuff. She's actually been programming here and there. So, but look, Brian, it's like you'll never know, right? It's still far away. I'm just happy for what they're gonna be, what they would like. I hope one of them will pick up, their dad's, love for the field. I'm hoping, right?
Yes, sir. That's great. Though. As long as they're having a good time, enjoying themselves.
Correct. That's what matters.
That's what matters.
It's fun to be kids at this point.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would you say in the HTM industry? Because I know you're very busy in this industry. What would you say was one of your biggest challenges since you've been in the industry?
My biggest challenges is just getting to the reach of a lot of health systems and other healthcare enterprises, because the US is so huge, and in our field, trying to get the word out is especially in service, right? You have to really get that word out either through talks, right? Setting up a booth in like a convention, or being invited as a speaker for free if you know what I mean. And it's just really getting the word out. The US is so big. California alone, it's like what, the third or fourth largest economy. It's like, you still have to really get out there, because, if no one knows about you, right, then no one can really, solicit your business. You know what I mean? Like we can't earn their business if they don't know about us. So that's
Absolutely.
one of the main challenges, actually, especially, for this field. And then another challenge I can add is all these independent, service technicians that just work, for themselves. So it's a little hard competing with them just because on the cost alone, the price. But in the long run, I don't see it as really as a challenge. You see, it seems like I'm contradicting myself, right, Brian? But it's more like I'm saying that they won't be a concern eventually, because if they're like on a smaller scale, I'm pretty much trying to perfect the game, right? So when I say perfecting the game, it's, I'm trying to come up with my jigs, my testing jigs, my, customized, instrumentation to get my job done, and, and adapt those things.
Absolutely. Then quality work always goes over quantity.
Yes.
So as long as you're doing a very great job, trust me, they'll call you back, because you can't shortcut quality. Yes. Sometimes they will for a second, but
yes, we go after each other, like just say trying on a bid or something, right? But at the end of the day, I think if your strategy is more really highlighting the skill sets, the capabilities, and of course the manpower, right? I mean, a one-man show, can't tackle a big corporation, you know what I mean, of a hospital group, right?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly true.
On that side, I'm very thankful that we're getting some type of, recognition that, hey man, VMS is a legit, company, and they know what they're talking about. But like I said, Brian, it's all about trying to get the word out, and, trying to those entities to give us a chance as well, right? Because they're like, well, we never heard of VMS and this and that, right? But once they try it, then they see the difference in quality, and also the thoroughness of the job, right? Like what you said, it's about the completeness on how the job gets done.
Tell me about VMS from its birth till now, and what does VMS stand for? Explain to me as if you're talking to someone who's never heard of VMS. What's the story behind VMS?
So VMS is a highly specialized company that we really like for lasers, phaco, even injectors, we're pretty strong. When I say that is because we have some loaners, and we carry parts. So one thing about having those types of redundancy, right? That things get done faster, and we pretty much control the throughput and the downtime of the account. So going back to VMS. VMS was started, besides my first company, I would say almost 5 years now. and really focusing primarily on the specialties I mentioned, and still have, deeply rooted with asset management if needed. But our primary emphasis is 80% on the specialty. And then if need be, if they need some assistance, then we can provide a 20%, even help out on the asset management, as that has become, one of our also greatest strengths, as we were developing my specialty during that time. So, like once a biomed, right? You have your basic Ohm's law, we got that, right? We know the DNV, we know the TJC, we know, we know, we know all that. So it's really hard to say that, we're going to leave that space, because you, as a specialist, right, you can still, like blossom. But if the needs arise, yeah, we can be there also to support the hospitals.
Great.
Yeah,
great.
I appreciate that question to clarify, because sometimes people think, there's a company that's one-sided, but it's really hard to erase that experience in asset management that, we've been going through, and, getting 100%, no deficiency, in all our surveys, right? Yeah. People need to know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I personally believe that a major setback gives you room for a major comeback. Now, could you share a story with me where maybe you had a setback, but then it turned around to become something that made you even stronger or became a blessing to you?
I got a lot of my accounts, stolen from me. That's a big adversity, right? So they got a hold of my price list.
Adversity, yes.
Yeah. And they lowballed everything. It is not uncommon in their industry. But, like I said, the truth shall set you free. And eventually they shoot themselves in the foot. You can relate to that, right?
Absolutely. That happens a lot. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, like I said, they lowballed it long enough just to get the deal. But, when you lowball, then you're actually cheating the customer, because what's the basis of your cost? The way we price, it's really realistic. We have margins that we have to protect. But at the end of the day, when we say, we work on your device, I mean, we take pictures before and after. We show you that we completed the procedures. You see what I'm saying? And it's really hard to explain, right? But like I said, when you're true to yourself, no matter, what kind of adversity, like the numbers game, that's easy to play, but eventually it will, like I said, it will catch up to you. But if you just believe in yourself, you believe in your team, right? And you keep doing what you're doing, I mean, people will notice.
Absolutely.
So that's what I could say. I mean, it's not, like I said, I want to stress it out. It's not uncommon in the industry where just people just lowballing the price just to get the deal. But what are they truly getting? Right?
Absolutely. Getting, you said the exact words.
You get what you pay for, right?
You get what you pay for. That's the words I was about to say.
Yeah. I mean, Brian, look, let me add to this. It's hard to compare, right? Because if you look at my service center in Chatsworth, I have a 10,000 square feet service center. And I've invested a lot of money to make sure the BMS brings a lot of value to our customers. Added value, right? Which means, we can print out parts. We have 3D printers, we have some CNC, machines. So, we can craft out parts that's needed if it's obsolete, right?
Yeah.
We have alignment benches, just say for lasers. We have some fake emulsification devices there that my technicians practice on. And if need be, we can use as a parts machine. So these are all the intangibles that, the healthcare industry should, take notice. It's not just we're a one-man show. We actually build a team. I have a team of strong, 5 specialist technicians in my team. So that alone is enough investment. You know what I mean? That like a smaller competitor that lacks the resources, right, can provide.
Yes, very, very true.
Yes.
Now, I also notice online you do a lot of community work, bringing awareness to this great industry of HTM that we love. Are you part of the California Medical Instrumentation Association, CMIA?
Yes, I am.
What chapter are you located in? We'll tell you what. Let's talk about that for a minute. Maybe you can go into the different chapters associated with it and talk about what chapter you're in, if you don't mind.
So actually, I'm in the CMIA LA chapter, but I frequent the other chapters because I like to build relationships and rapport with my fellow biomeds.
What other ways do you go to local high schools or colleges?
Yeah, once in a while, you read my mind. I actually visit some high schools, check where the guidance counselors and see, where I can, give a talk. Most recently with the CMI Orange County chapter, we visited a school in Westminster High School, and that was a very touching experience, Brian. I've seen kids that needed direction, with their career for their future careers, and also people looking for, they're thirsty for knowledge. And like I said, not until that point, there's really our industry HTM is underexposed.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it's only now that we're actually getting the word out, but not too many people know we exist.
Oh, so how was the kids? Right? How was the kids responding to you guys when you were there? Did you get a lot of response, or did you get how much you making? No, that's usually be the top question. What's the pay like?
On that side, I was so I'll just speak for myself. For VMS, I was imparting a lot more knowledge than the biomed field, wherein I was sharing my experience as an entrepreneur, the challenges. They were asking me very interesting questions about, did you make mistakes? What did you do? Who funded you? All this stuff. And like I said, it was very humbling because you hear these kids, like they have all these questions that they need answered. I would say based on the videos I took and everything else, I believe it was a very successful one. And, being able to share our passion to those students, I think we should really, the industry should do more, right? They should really do more, and we need to be heard. And,
I think personally, the word is getting out. It's just, it's a challenge. I think social media is helping a lot with that spreading of the word.
Correct.
Me and you talking today helps out the spreading of the word, but it's a process. And like you mentioned, the kids today, a lot do not even have an idea what they want to do with themselves.
Yes.
And that's kind of disheartening because they never heard of our industry, but we're trying to tell them to come into this industry. So
correct. Yes.
That's the challenging part. What makes my industry the best? We're going to be one-sided, I guess, because we know the value of it, but it's like, it's actually a great career if they just gave it a chance.
Correct.
But
I mean, I could share this, right? From what I've seen now, like now that I'm 47, what I've seen hasn't changed, Brian. It's like, we're still in the basement. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to, be prideful of what we do, because if you really talk at numbers, biomed is an expense, right? They put us in a basement, the worst, you know what I mean? Like the smallest areas, right? And I'll be honest, even though with the Biomed Day and HTM Day, I still feel we are underappreciated by the healthcare community.
Well, in my opinion,
the
only way you can change that personally is the biomed team. I mean, you have to come out that basement.
Correct.
Okay, you have to make rounds. You have to make yourself visible. And if you can do that, then they will see your value. They can't see your value if you just fix it and bring it back to them.
Correct.
You have to go on the floor, get to know them. You have to interact. Like those days of us just fixing stuff and bringing it to them is gone.
Yeah.
We have to be on the floor. We have to be in front of them. We have to speak well. We have to get involved with capital purchases. That's ways for us to show our value, because we're a great value to the hospital. But if they don't know it, then unfortunately we become our worst enemy, in my opinion. So as biomeds, we have to put ourselves out there just like you do with your company. Yeah. We have to have that same mindset. We have to go put ourselves out there. Let them know we're here to help. And once they realize that we're here to help, trust me, they will lean on us. But we have to put our best foot forward so they can see what type of assistance they can get from us. But I want to ask you this question. When you spoke with the kids, did you get any type of interest to where perhaps the conversation would go even further, maybe involving parents from meeting with the kids? Did anybody show some genuine interest?
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna. Yeah, actually, when the event ended, I had some. One of the student counselors and some students were actually asking me to go back there for like do like a 4-hour day with them, talk about life itself and the industry, and maybe spending more time with them on an intimate level so they can get to know the field more. I got that sense because they gave me their numbers, and a few students also, Brian, I was surprised. They were asking to do internship or field trip to my place.
Really? Oh,
that's why, bro. I was a little teary-eyed, man, because these kids need some mentorship, guidance, man. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Not a generic counseling stuff. Oh, you go do this.
Well, I noticed you said that you became teary-eyed when you were talking to the kids. So how much would you say that your emotion plays a role in the choices you make with your career?
My perspectives have changed, right? When you're younger, you're selfish, right? You're self-motivated. All you want is really just to befit you, right? To benefit you. As you get older and more mature, you notice like you start to find your calling, And to me, like I said, you and I are unique, individuals in our field. The fact that we could speak, like with influence, right? Because of the knowledge that, we have pretty much put together over the years, right? And people respect that. But like I said, what really changed, it's the maturity of, me having my own kids. And, everyone has a purpose. And the reason I got teary-eyed because I saw like, man, I have to do more, just speaking for myself, that at least if I can do all this charity work and get the word out, it can at least make some type of difference, right? Instead of me just keeping it to myself, all the knowledge, right, that I build up. I mean, Brian, here's the thing, right? What people should know about me is, it's not about just me, but the way I got into the field was I was gifted by being a floater biomed, right? Which means I got exposed to so many hospitals, so many equipment in that short span of time that I was able to develop that type of knowledge base and skill sets.
You mentioned before we got on that you may be in the Philippines, know when Amy come around. So how is the biomed world on that side of the world?
So the knowledge there is antiquated. Even the equipment that they're actually, practicing on, they're obsolete devices. So when I saw that, it's really hard to relate, you know what I mean, and put together, the knowledge, when you get to the field, because a lot of it doesn't apply. Right? But technician pool, bro, there's so many. There's so many. Labor power there is, there's no scars of labor. But yes,
really,
because bro, like one thing about the Philippines, there's a lot of people with degree, they just can't find jobs. Make sense? Yeah, a lot of people are engineers, can just find jobs. If you're from the province, like a smaller island, it's hard to get a job. And in the Philippines, it's all about the influence. If you don't know people, right, then you end up doing something else. If you're an engineer, you know someone, he might give you a job in office work, right? It does not relate to your field. It's a sad state, but I'm trying to help out it's called TESDA. They're like a labor certification, for the not haves over there. And I'm starting like a program that I could share, some of my curriculum, with the Philippines.
Where do you see this industry in the next, well, I would say 5 years, but let's just say 2 years? I mean, because it's evolving pretty much like every month. It's taking a turn. So where do you see it in the next 2 years? Let's just say 2 years.
Okay. You want real life? It's sad. Chronic shortage of skilled technicians. Okay. I'm seeing it. I'm not sure people have noticed. A lot of people are supposed to be retired are still staying put in the workforce, but that's gonna be a reality. I took some notes. That I can also add. The lack of skill sets, Brian. The lack of skill sets. I mean, everyone's saying about PM, dude. The biomed doesn't just do PMs. They have to do more for a hospital, right? And going back to where we're heading as well, everyone heard of AI. There's going to be a lot of AI adoption, right? That should make things easier for us. But you cannot replace the manpower that, you know what I mean? That mans these things to fix. Like it's like a robot, right? A robot can fix itself. We need more skilled technicians.
Hey, my thinking is you're correct in that aspect, but I just have this, maybe it's just always looking at the glass half full instead of half empty. I just personally believe in my heart of heart that as we get the word out, eventually these young people are going to take care of this industry. I just feel like as it grows, because I think once you start telling people, and all you need is one kid to tell another kid, to tell an uncle, and they're going to have people that's going to come in here and want to learn, because if you get too much work, you're not going to turn that work down. So you're going to start having some advanced training at the shop. So I think the skill is there. All you need is the passion. If they can give you the passion, you could teach them. That's the only problem I have with this industry is a lot of gentlemen are losing that passion. If you got the passion, the skill will come. You just have to put that in. And I think these kids are going to see that go and get these degrees and then you can't find work. And then you have an industry that's in need of people, in need of bodies. So I think we're going to see a serious influx once I think the word gets out. And it may not balance it out as quick as we wanted, but I personally believe in 10 years, we're going to look back and say, man, we thought we was going to have a staffing issue. But I think the word is going to spread like wildfire. And that's probably a pipe dream of mine, but I personally believe doing things like what we're doing right now is a perfect way of spreading that message. And we have to continue to spread that message. And there's a lot of people that's spreading the message. And I just think personally, when we go to these Amy shows, we sit down and we talk and sharpen our swords on each other. And then we all go back to our respective places with ideas. And I think we're gonna turn this around. But it's gonna take, like you said, everybody. It's not gonna be done by just CMIA. It's not gonna be done by just one associate. It's gonna take a collective support system of everyone. To me,
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but like I said, the sooner that we start to get the information out, get people involved, with the Amy HTM in a box, I'm looking to also start, doing a lot of my technician development once again, because I love to teach and try to pass on that knowledge. Yeah, you're right. It's not the end of the world, Brian. Right? That's the best part. If we act now, yes, we will find a way, to get through it, which we always do, right?
Yeah, and I think personally, if each HTM, like for instance, if every HTM professional would say, let me go find one person and find that person to replace you. You're retiring. I'm guarantee you, your family, if you've been doing this for 30, 40 plus years, somebody know what you do in your family. And you can just share that message and you'd be surprised how they may adapt, they may respond to it. Sometimes people just don't know how to share the message. And that's the most important part too, is teaching. That's why HTM on the box you mentioned is very important. It does the legwork for you because it's all about presentation. If you're telling them it's a great industry, they're going to say, why is it great? Now, if you don't sound exciting explaining it to them, then
yeah,
it's not going to penetrate them.
Yeah. Are you sure of yourself? Yeah, I got
you. Exactly. So, and we have a lot of individuals in the industry that's doing great things to show you, like just to mention, I can say the Bearded Biomed, he has a book he created. That's pretty awesome. And you got Better Biomed.
Yep. Justin Barbour.
Justin, he's doing a lot of things on the internet.
Trying to get the word out, right?
There's people.
With you. Don't forget to mention you, Mr. Brian.
Hey man, I'm humble, man. But I'm just a soldier on the team with the rest of you guys. But I think personally, we're gonna figure it out. It's just something that's we late with it. We could have probably been doing this for years. Because if you talk to most biomed guys, they happened up on it. I happened up on it. But my son's in the industry.
I love that, man. I saw your junior. I'm like, whoa. Nice.
Yeah, so that's a way, that's a way we can help this industry. It don't have to be a direct kid, but it could be a nephew, a cousin, uncle. They don't have to be young. It could be somebody young at heart. Because a lot of individuals are changing careers because of the economy we live in. But one thing we knew during COVID, there was no shortage of work for us. Matter of fact, work picked up. So that showed you what is one of the most important industries. Is not a professional basketball player, football player, because they was home. But we was working 12-hour shifts. We had to work staggered shifts because we didn't want to contaminate each other. It was a big challenge.
But we came through, right? As an industry,
absolutely. And we're much stronger now because of it. And that's why I think a lot of us are making the awareness to it now, because we saw how much we need people. COVID showed us that there is a shortage. We knew one was coming, but COVID kind of fast forwarded because a lot of people started retiring a lot sooner because of COVID. So that is something that, I think we're taking it by the bullhorns and going forward with it. What would you say to a young biomed technician that's working in the hospital? Because I try to focus most of my message to the young people. So if you had to give a message to a young biomed tech that's maybe been in the industry for 6 months to a year, what would your advice to him be? Or her?
Okay.
Him or her.
Learn from the experienced generation. They have to pick their brain. One thing that I can say that actually helped me grow, faster than my peers is I just love asking questions. You know what I mean? From the people with the wisdom, right? And for these young biomeds, honestly, this is what I'll tell them. Right? Ask yourself now, right? While it's still within your year, do you love what you do? Are you passionate in this, or this is just like a stepping stone? Right? If it is something that you love and you do, then you have to do more and get more engaged in your hospital. Either way, if you're, like a less than a year biomed, you have to get on there. And one more thing I could say, Brian, is like they have to get in the know of even the regulatory side, right? Because a lot of it, biomed, it's like, it's not a multi-prong, right? Like when I was, like a biomed, I wanted to learn the Joint Commission and all and this and that. So in case there was no manager or something else, then I can represent the hospital, you know what I mean, in those surveys, right? In those EOC committee meetings, right? You cannot just be satisfied on who you are now. You need to have a plan of growth, right? Like this year I learned this year I learned that, right? Because a lot of times, Brian, the passion is lost, of course, either probably overloaded work, some teams I have noticed have lack of teamwork. Okay, everyone's to each for his own. That doesn't contribute to a very positive culture. And like I said, some of them, they're just contented with who they are. It's a 9 to 5 job. I'll tell them, look, man, if you're in the middle of a job and you have to stay half an hour just to solder that or whatever to get that thing done, stay that half an hour. Biomed is not a 9 to 5 job, right? We have a duty to the hospital, the stakeholders, to the patients that are counting on that equipment to perform. Well, why move it off to another day if you can do it now? If it only takes half an hour.
Exactly. Let me play devil advocate with you now. You mentioned that the young guy should talk to the more experienced technician to get some knowledge. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot of individuals that's been in this industry a long time who doesn't feel like or want to mentor a young person. So they reach out to this older guy and he brushes them off. What advice would you give him to seek out knowledge from then?
I would change their approach. Because that's how I picked some brains. It's more, we're not gonna take it, literally, right? It's just how you present your inquiry, right? Or probably if they're not more of a talker, then then maybe they could be strong in some hands-on, what I mean? Hands-on stuff. But it has to be a lot more to do with the approach. And one more thing, Brian, I forgot. They have to show respect. Here's the thing. I've noticed even in my days, when you're this young, ambitious guy, cocky, right? Oh, you're gonna drive a wedge right away with those experienced, you know what I mean? Technicians. But look, man, I could say what worked for me is like, I had to break down the barriers. It was hard because look, if you're like a 20-year veteran of biomed, right? You were like, oh, this kid, not spending time with you, but break it down. Spend time with them. Have lunch or, take them out or beer or something. They're going to open up, right? Because it's not about work anymore. But you have to change the approach. There's no one way to skin the cat.
That's exactly it, man. Okay, now, in closing, I like to give each one of my guests an opportunity to share something with everyone that you think could be of benefit. If you had to share some knowledge with the HTM industry, what would you tell us as a whole, the community, if you had to say something to us?
All right, thank you for giving me this parting words. Let's continue supporting each other. Let's continue to grow by learning and also mentoring, right? Because a strength of many, beats a strength of one, especially even in knowledge. Like I said, just on experience alone, 2 hits are better than one. So, we have to work as a team. yes, we have a lot of our careers to consider to make more money, this and that. But, we should help people go up along the way instead of just thinking about ourselves, right? I came to a realization, and maturity now that, we have to be there for each other, right? It could be simple, even as a mentor or, just a brother, fellow biomed who maybe wants to help out with the troubleshooting, and let's embrace our community and just continue getting the word out there. So, those are my parting words. I'm very appreciative, Bryant, who, trying to get me with this podcast, and I hope this resonates with everyone in the US and in the world. And hopefully I can do more podcasts and some, joint talks with you, Mr. Bryant.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Well said. Well said. Well, I appreciate you, Maury. And it's like I have another brother in the industry. Man, can't wait to meet you in person. So
yes,
laugh and get more known. But definitely you're welcome back anytime. And maybe we can co-host one time with some people. I can't let you take over my podcast.
No. Bro, I'm busy with developing lasers and students already.
Absolutely.
But I could be a whole, like a co-host.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'll take that opportunity.
Great, man. We can make that happen.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you, man. Your time.
You. Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, man, for coming on.
All right.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode with Maury Agoncillo. Until next time, y'all be safe out there.